Ladies and gentlemen, we are just 3 days away from Rajya Sabha elections. There are 16 seats across 4 states that are up for grabs because 41 members of parliament have been elected unopposed. But here's where it gets tricky for the stakeholders. At least in 3 states, the fight is extremely tight, which is why we are seeing all parties resorting to a template that they have perfected now. Round up your MLAs, keep them holed up, far away from reach of your rivals, and hope that there is no cross-voting on election day. In Maharashtra, the Maha Vikas Agadi government is hoping to win on 4 out of the 6 seats, which is why all Agadi MLAs have been taken to a resort to ensure there is no horse trading. Series of meetings by the heads of governments, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar and senior leaders are being held. One such meeting is happening in Mumbai even as we speak. Smaller parties and independents hold key in the state, and they are being approached by their valuable support. Like this one, listen in.
हमारे एमएलए हम तीनों एमएलए बैठ के किसको देने का ये डिसाइड करेंगे और उस हिसाब से काम करेंगे। ग्रांटेड लिया है, ऐसा नहीं है। ठीक, हम पकड़ के चलते हैं, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। तो इसी हिसाब से कांग्रेस वाले हो, सेना वाले हो, बीजेपी वाले हो, उनका कैंडिडेट है, अप्रोच करते हैं। सभी सीनियर से डिस्कस करके इलेक्शन के दिन 10 तारीख को वोट किसको देने का, क्या करने का हम डिसाइड करते हैं।
Well, if that's Maharashtra, then in Haryana, the Congress party is in action and has been in action since last week. Their MLAs are being hosted by the party-run Chhattisgarh government till the 10th of June. Well, if you have a government, then use it to ferry to a resort in the state where you have a government, because it's a prestige issue for the Huda father-son duo in the state of Haryana. In Rajasthan, there are 4 seats and Congress is confident on at least 2 victories, but fall short of votes to push a third one, which they've already decided to push for. What will happen if they don't have all the votes? Well, buying, selling, horse trading, all of this, and they're also facing backlash over ignoring state leaders and giving nominations to outsiders. Well, the BJP too in this state is extremely cautious because they too, like the Congress, have herded their MLAs into resorts across the state. So why this rumble over Rajya Sabha elections? For one, no party has achieved absolute majority in the upper house for the last 40 years. So the BJP is vying for that position. The BJP's tally has dipped below 100, and percentage-wise, they are just a wee bit below the 50% mark currently. Cross that barrier and it'll be much easier to pass legislations through. That's exactly what the opposition is also hoping to stop from happening. And it's not just about the Rajya Sabha elections and a lot of ego battles that are at stake. It's also about the election or the selection of the president, which will happen in the month of July. And members in Rajya Sabha are extremely important to will that particular battle as well. So, hoarding netas is the last resort for the parties. That's the question that we are asking, because it's back to resort politics for all political parties. And who's paying for it? Janta? You and me? That's the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate, Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, Kishore Tiwari ji, leader of the Shiv Sena, Brijmohan Srivastava, spokesperson of the NCP. But my first question goes to my friend Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader. And Sanjay Jha, from Rajasthan right to Maharashtra, everywhere there is a problem because Congress party fielding more candidates than it has votes, and when you get ambitious, resorts come in extremely handy. And that's what's happening in Rajasthan as in Haryana. And What's the best recipe? Take them, ferry them in private jets and private planes to states where you have governments, and then host them at taxpayers' money. That's the tamasha of Rajya Sabha elections this time around. Normally we saw that when any majority is not possible for formation of government in states, it happens. But this time Rajya Sabha election, daw pe laga hai sab kuch.
Well, Navika, it just goes to prove how Indian politics has become so corrupted, quintessentially at the core. And I think it's both a tragedy and a farce. You know, I can imagine all the people who are watching your program today, especially young people, you know, who have a dream of a good democracy and a great country. Imagine elected adult legislators have to be protected as if they are kindergarten children. And all because of what? Because of the threat of being poached, or there being some kind of investigating agency raid, or maybe, as you rightly said, horse trading or a commercial buyout. I mean, what really are we all about? I mean, you know, in my opinion,
haven't you forgotten the most important factor? Maybe they're just dissatisfied with the decision of the party, you know, to field a certain number of candidates, because your party members are writing, "Hamari bhakti mein thodi kami reh gayi."
Well, Navika, let me make one point there. If you look at the technical process of the Rajya Sabha election, if an MLA votes, he has to show who he has voted for, authorized agent of the political party. So political party willy-nilly will get to know if there has been cross-voting. I think the real fear here is that will somebody be so brazen and blatant enough to cross over to the other side, either because they have got a terrible threat or they have been given the allurement of, you know, big ticket cash. Either way, I think it's a manifestation of a democracy that is very fragile and, in my opinion, tragically highly corrupted in its fundamentals. And this is not a good sign for the future of our country, because imagine today, Navika, that an MLA can be poached, purchased, and tomorrow coerced to vote for another party. As far as the Congress is concerned, I will give you one example.
Extremely high moral ground, Sanjay Jha. While I don't grudge you that, but Smita, you know, have they forgotten the fact that when their deputy chief minister Sachin Pilot in Rajasthan was upset with his own party and you know, walked away with a few MLAs, the same resort politics happened at that time. Who's corrupted? Is it only about Rajya Sabha elections? It's about, you know, infighting within the Congress party at that point in time. So why is Mr. Sanjay Jha taking such a high moral ground?
Strangely enough, I find myself agreeing with Mr. Jha that it's across political spectrum that this is happening. I mean, these are the visuals are running in your channel of them doing yoga, watching a magic show, and they're not even able to, you know, look up at the cameraman when he's shooting them. They're embarrassed with what's happening to them, being taken like a flock of sheep in a bus to a resort. How embarrassing! I mean, these are the people who occupy the benches which are supposed to elevate the debate in legislature. Supposed to elect people into the upper house of the legislature, you know, where rarefied lobbies of the legislature, of the parliament. And here, look at them, they are going to be traded like cattle. That's what is happening. That is this sorry state of affairs. I mean, it's now become such a spectacle, and it's been going on for decades. And the shameful thing is that all political parties agree that this is an embarrassment. It's a parade which is so wrong, and it reflects on the weak political structures that we have in our country. I mean, if we could bring about in this country an anti-defection law 30 years back, or more than 30 years back, then why can't we do something about changing this? Why can't our politicians do this? It's a deficiency of the system which everybody is exploiting. I mean, you listed the reason why it is important for the BJP to get its numbers. It's also important for the other political parties simply because they want their man as president. So it's talk about opposition unity, and for the Congress party, or opposition unity at this stage, it could also spell a death knell, because it means an opposition unity minus the Congress.
Well, you know, that is the big worry, and I want to ask Mr. Brijmohan Srivastava ji. Brijmohan Srivastava ji, Same story in Maharashtra. Your government, taxpayers' money, and resort politics. Magic shows happening. So obviously, Rajasthan Chief Minister Mr. Ashok Gehlot expects कि magic show दिखाने से कुछ ऐसा भी magic हो जाएगा कि उनके supported लोग जीत जाएंगे राज्य सभा का चुनाव. पर वही तो हो रहा है. वही महाराष्ट्र में भी हो रहा है. You have more candidates fielded than the number of votes you have. That is an invitation, copybook invitation for horse trading. Aren't all parties guilty of that?
No, Navika ji. No, Navika ji. Things is not like this. You see the arithmetic of the MLAs in Maharashtra. We are having 26. MVA is having 26 extra vote for the fourth candidate. Whereas, and we are having support of 21 independent MLAs as well as the different small parties MLAs. Whereas the BJP is having only 22 vote extra and they are having support of 7, means 29. So you see, we are having 47 votes with us very clearly. But what's happened? BJP is not interested to accept this fact. And they started this horse trading in Maharashtra. You know, since last 1998, there was no election for Rajya Sabha. Why this time BJP is interested in this type of election? Because simply they feel that they are having sufficient resource of money and ED and the NIA and the income tax will not touch them. Therefore, they have they dare to for the horse trading, and it is going on. They have shown this same thing.
You think NIA is required now for members of parliament? NIA is a terror investigation agencies. They are required for members of parliament now.
They are using all central agencies. Navika ji,
respond.
Navika ji, I want to say they are using all central agencies to build the pressure on the elected members. Oh, this is the story. And what's happening?
I don't know. Are you saying they will put terror charges on you, or are you saying that there is some sort of a terror suspect now somewhere lurking in Maharashtra? Gaurav Bhatia, respond. Very severe charge being made against the BJP. Respond to Mr. Srivastava.
See, first of all, let's have a very rational debate. They talk about horse trading. So I would like to ask them, especially Sanjay Jaji, if he would like to defend the Congress, that Rajasthan's case, Navika, BSP won 6 MLAs. Was it muscle power? Was it threatening them? Was it money power horse trading? That these 6 BSP MLAs decided to join the Congress. The speaker doesn't even know the constitution there, that the original political party has to merge. The Bahujan Samaj Party has not merged with the Congress. So this was horse trading and muscle power. Now coming to Maharashtra, the Maha Vikas Agadi needs to answer. These are the numbers for the benefit of the viewers. You need 42 votes to win the seat. Maha Vikas Agadi has 150 MLAs. For 4 seats that they have fielded their candidates, they need 168 votes. So they are short by 18 votes. How will they get these 18 votes? That means they will indulge in horse trading. So their intentions are clear. Third point, ये कहते हैं बीजेपी हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग करवा रही है महाराष्ट्र में, राजस्थान में. मैं एक बात पूछना चाहता हूं, गवर्नमेंट आपकी है, पुलिस आपकी है. Are you trying to say that this is a very defamatory statement? But I would like to ask them, their police is sitting idle. कितनों को पकड़ा है अभी तक आपने कैश के साथ या धमकाते हुए, country guns or anything? You may tell the viewers. And last but not the least, महा वसूली अगाड़ी की तो ये कहानी है, समाजवादी पार्टी का भी MLA है महाराष्ट्र में. नाविका जी, he is also saying I am not supporting शिवसेना. क्यों? क्योंकि ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसे इन्होंने ठगा नहीं. इलेक्शन हमारे साथ लड़े थे. महा वसूली अगाड़ी में they were getting targets for the commissioner of police to extort 40 crore in a month. This is the kind of horse trading muscle power they show. But we are sure that the Bharatiya Janata Party, which has fielded maximum number of women, 6 out of 22, the OBC candidates, members of the SC/ST will prevail because the people of the country are with us and we have the numbers.
किशोर तिवारी जी जवाब दीजिए। समाजवादी आप कह रहे हैं सारे एमपीज आपके साथ हैं, एमएलएज आपके साथ हैं, अगर सारे हैं तो फिर डर किस बात का?
नहीं देखो, डर तो यही है, जैसे हमारे ब्रिजमोहन श्रीवास्तव जी ने भी बताया कि हमारे नंबर गेम में तो हम कंफर्टेबल है। अब मुझे बताइए, ये समाजवादी पार्टी हमारे साथ लड़ी नहीं थी लेकिन हमको सपोर्ट कर रही है। बहुजन विकास आघाड़ी भी हमको ही सपोर्ट कर रही है। हम सपोर्ट कर, बीजेपी के पास तो 105 और केवल 5, ऐसा ही है इक्वेशन, खुद के चुनके वाले 5 और, तो ये लोगों ने कहां से खड़ा कर दिया? देखिए बात ऐसी है नाविका जी की कोई भी अगर हमारे 4 नहीं आए या बीजेपी का एक ज्यादा आ गया तो ये बात क्लियर हो जाएगी कि बीजेपी ने हमारी जो स्ट्रेंथ है उसको क्रैक किया। लेकिन आपने जो बोला कि रिसोर्ट पॉलिटिक्स क्यों है, तो यही है। अब ये मेरे को गौरव भाटिया जी ये मस्त बोलते हैं, पुलिस आपकी, सरकार आपकी। मैं बोलता हूं गौरव भाटिया जी, पैसे तो आपके हैं और चर्चा तो बहुत आ चुकी है। नहीं देखिए अगर आप चुन के आओगे ना तो पैसे के भरोसे आओगे। आपके क्या सगे लगते ये? क्या आपके सगे लगते? आप तो अपसेंट कराने का रेट 10 करोड़ हो गया। अपसेंट का रेट 10 करोड़।
यू नो, एक दूसरे पे आप चार्ज डाल रहे हैं, that is not important. And Smita, I want to ask you, isn't the most important question who's paying for these resort politics? कौन पे कर रहा है? किशोर तिवारी जी, अगाड़ी सरकार पे कर रही है। सरकार यानी टैक्स पेयर का पैसा। टैक्स पेयर का पैसा इसलिए होता है कि जो टैक्स पेयर हो वो गरीबी में रहे, आम आदमी गरीबी में रहे, महंगाई से लड़े, और आप लोग रिजॉर्ट में रहे।
नहीं नाविका जी, अपर हाउस के अंदर पैसे वाले जाने का जो कल्चर आया है, तो समय आ चुका है कि अपर हाउस को डिसॉल्व किया जाए, फिर वो एमएलए रहे, एमएलसी रहे या फिर राज्यसभा में रहे।
I want to ask Sanjay Jha, if there are Haryana MLAs of the Congress party who are, herded away to Chhattisgarh resorts, is it because it is taxpayer money? इसलिए चुभता नहीं है आप लोग को? You do this kind of games during elections?
Well, Navika, before I answer that question, let me just tell my good friend Gaurav, because you have to have some audacity to hear Gaurav talk about political morality when Operation Lotus was actually a completely well choreographed program meant to buy out and make MLAs part of a stock exchange transaction. It was a shame, and I wanted to make this discussion very bipartisan. I don't want to go down the parochial path. All political parties, as even Smita mentioned, have been guilty at different scales. But to answer your question, I do agree, and therefore I'm going to tell you this. It makes me ashamed as somebody who's part of the political ecosystem to see politicians indulge in this kind of debased pedestrian politics. I think we are sending out a terrible message. You know, people will laugh at you and me. People will laugh at India. People will laugh at everyone who wears white and pontificates on how great India must be and what are the policies and programs we need. I think all of us today on the program, I'm sure, are blushing red with embarrassment that we have to even discuss this issue.
But we still hanker for those Rajya Sabha seats, but we still go out there and indulge in the same process time and time again. Well, that's what I say about moral high grounds. But Gaurav Bhatia, that's the charge. That's the charge. Operation Kamal के बाद आप तो लेक्चर ना ही दें किसी को तो बेहतर रहेगा।
ये बराबर का
नहीं नाविका जी, आई थिंक भारतीय जनता पार्टी तो वो पार्टी है जो सबको यहाँ लेक्चर दे सकती है क्योंकि जनता का आशीर्वाद हमारे साथ है. My friend Sanjay Jha, and he is very dear to me. He did not answer 6 BSP MLAs defected to Congress party. Why did the Congress party use their? Please, बीच में मत बोलिए. It is very disturbing. Sir, अपनी बारी में बोलिएगा. So I just want to ask, संजय भाई ने नहीं आंसर दिया, कोई बात नहीं, बट ये रुपया कहाँ से आ रहा है आपने ये पूछा. hard-earned taxpayers' money being utilized for magic shows. Now, magic show की वजह से जो घोड़ा है वो घोड़ा रहेगा, गधा घोड़े में नहीं बदल जाएगा. And Sanjay bhai, let me remind you, in 2017,
let's
when
not
the
be
Rajya Sabha election took place,
your MLAs are also in a resort in Rajasthan.
Can I complete myself?
नहीं, वो पैसा कहाँ से आ रहा है? वो किसका पैसा है? Your MLAs are also in a resort in Rajasthan.
मैं बता देता हूँ.
वो तो राम ट्रस्ट से आ रहा है.
Can I complete myself? I'll answer that. I will answer that. If I am not interrupted, I will.
So don't. What is this Ram temple business?
Please, Navika ji, this is unfair. 3 लोग चिल्लाएंगे, अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. ठीक है. So let me just complete my point.
उससे ही चल रहा है.
किशोर तिवारी जी सवाल पूछा गया है, सवाल का जवाब सुन लीजिए. आपके पास आती हूँ. गौरव भाटिया, complete your point in 20 seconds.
Navika, there has been no charge of a Vasuli government, like in the case of the Maha Vikas Agadi, which has been extorting money, people's money, to fund their own needs. There has been no charge against the BJP that we have misused or abused our official position and taxpayers' money has been used to pay for the hotel or resort bills. But I'm ending by saying 2017 Gujarat election, Gujarat witnessed floods and 40 MLAs of the Congress party were in Karnataka enjoying, seeing magic show, dancing, while the people needed them. That's the kind of resort politics we don't want.
Well, Smita, I want to come back to you and I want to ask you, can any political party take the high moral ground?
No, it can't. But also they shouldn't take cheap shots like this person who just now said कि BJP के पास पैसा आ रहा है राम से. किसी ने बोला कि हाजी अली से पैसा आ रहा है. Why do you make these kind of communal statements? राम टेम्पल का इसमें बीच में लाने का क्या मतलब था? You know, this is what is most irritating, that you have a sane debate going on and some wise comment will come in like this and just debase the entire debate that goes on. The sad part, Navika, is that it's almost Darwinian, you know, here. That जिसके पास ज्यादा muscle power है, जिसके पास ज्यादा पैसा है, वो राज्य सभा में घुसेगा. That should just not be the way things happen. It's really debasing the entire system, and I think while all political parties agree, but from the 1980s we have been seeing it, from Ramakrishna Hegde versus Indira Gandhi to NTR versus Naidu to the whole Ahmed Patel election, and then Shashikala, and then subsequently everything. So there needs to be some major reform.
It doesn't stop. They carry on with impunity, and at the end of the day, the public is left watching the tamasha. The gross misuse of taxpayers' paisa, and those who are poor, who need help during this time of price rise and inflation, what about them? And what about this house called the House of Elders, the upper house of Parliament? Is the road to this upper house laden with money trampled over by politicians of every single political party? That's the question we need to answer. And it's enough. The public has had enough of this. It's time to bring in a legislation and address this problem. Thank you very much to my panelists. I'm getting breaking news coming up on the other side. On the 3rd of June, Union Home Minister Amit Shah held a crucial meeting to review the security of Jammu and Kashmir and ramp up the anti-terror crackdown. That was his second meeting in a fortnight, given the rising attacks on Hindus and non-locals in Kashmir. Since then, the Modi government zero tolerance policy has gone a notch further, details of which have been accessed exclusively here. There is information that we are getting that Army, Central Police Forces, Jammu and Kashmir Police and security agencies have now managed to kill 4 terrorists in the last 24 hours in joint operations. AK-56 grenades and a huge amount of ammunition has also been recovered from these terrorists. Action taken against them. Out of the 4 terrorists killed, 3 were from Pakistan, and 1 is still in the process of being identified. That is the big breaking news coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. And with that, it's a wrap on the Newshour tonight. Thank you very much for joining me on the Newshour at 9. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night and be safe.